Hello, hello. My name is Chuck Ditto, and today I want to film something to kind of raise awareness on one side of the debate of the hashtag Bring Back the National Dex. Um, what I've noticed about the debate is that the debate itself, I mean, it has bad actors in general. People threatening the developers of the Pokemon series, which is completely unacceptable. Obviously, I'm not sure how many people wouldn't condemn those kind of actions. Uh, but I wanted to give a legitimate opinion and kind of just view of someone on that particular side of the debate of bringing back the national dex. Basically, with the next release of Pokemon Sword and Shield, there will be Pokemon that can no longer transfer forward to that generation. I'm assuming, or at least I'm hoping, that these problems will be addressed in future releases of Pokemon. But at the same time, I don't know if I've seen full evidence of this, or more than likely, they might handpick certain Pokemon to work in future generations as well. Uh, One of the core features of Pokemon is the ability to trade. And they kind of added upon this when they added new abilities to go from your original games, Pokemon Blue, Red, and Yellow, and be able to transfer those forward to the new generation of games, Pokemon Gold and Silver. Now, when you move forward with technology and hardware and software, I guess, um, there are limitations, especially when you move a Pokemon from Blue version over to generation number 2, Gold version. Well, Pokemon have a hard time going back this direction because new things were added in Gold version. So, basically, this started the first conundrum, and that's okay. We all know how this goes. So, a Pokemon with a brand new attack that was added in Gold version, it can't be transferred backwards. They did have the ability to transfer backwards to limited degree. This included actual errors making it into the game, such as Magnemite, for example, is an electric type in the first game. But the second game with Generation 2, they added the Steel type. And Magnemite became an electric steel type in Gold version. And when he was traded back into the older games, which probably shouldn't have let him do this, it was a bit of an error. Well, Steel type didn't exist in Blue versions, so what happened? Magnemites would turn into an electric fire type. So it was interesting. The game still worked, but there are obvious flaws moving backwards. So, with that kind of set out of the way, I want to go ahead and talk about how this kind of works with trading. So, one of the core mechanics of Pokemon is trading, especially moving your Pokemon forward. So, with the original two generations, Generation 1 and 2, you couldn't actually move Pokemon forward to Generation 3. And this had to do with hardware issues and big, major changes to the Pokemon franchise. I mean, like, for the future of Pokemon was forever changed by these games. So Pokemon from these games could not be moved forward. Uh, Moving on with generation number 3, we got all sorts of new mechanics, hidden abilities, and breeding. Well, I guess breeding was in generation 2 with Gold, but breeding where it really made these huge advances on how like things would kind of move forward, moving attacks and that kind of thing. Um, uh, but there were lots of mechanics added to Generation 3, new attacks and new systems. I think this is when maybe not attack and special attack were kind of separated, but there's so many changes. Anyway, so starting at Generation 3 here. We have Ruby. I didn't own both versions. Many people buy both versions. I was one of the people who bought one or the other. But this was the first game where Pokemon from this game right here could move forward each passing generation to new games. Now, with Sword and Shield, the big concern is that some Pokemon will not be able to be moved into those games. This is a first for the series, at least a first on this major level. There were always certain things that didn't quite move. I know there's a special eared Pichu in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which cannot be moved as far as I'm aware of. But yeah, so like this is when starting at Generation 3, this is when Pokemon can kind of move forward. So what I wanted to kind of show you today was I wanted to give you guys kind of a history of Pokemon, but I wanted to do that through showing you my teams of the Pokemon that I've trained through all of the games. Now, I'm putting in the game Pokemon Omega Ruby because this is where my Pokemon currently reside. Basically, there was a few issues when it came to Sun and Moon. These are my personal issues. Once they're moved into these games, they cannot move back to X or Omega Ruby. Omega Ruby, I feel, is an extremely solid game. It's a very safe game to be in. These games in general, especially if you have an original 3DS, this is a 3DS XL, this is original hardware, they tend to run extremely poorly. So I chose not to move my Pokemon to these games just yet. Alright, so let's go ahead and start our tour here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start up Omega Ruby. Now, Omega Ruby is particularly special to me. My favorite generation is generation number 3, with the addition of Pokemon Ruby. This is the game I poured my soul into, and really solidified me as a Pokemon fan forever. That being said, I did play the original generations, and I did absolutely love them, but there was a bit of a gap in the release of these games. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and start our tour. So, Pokemon Omega Ruby. I absolutely love this game, and again, it's a bit personal. I love this game because it's a remake of my favorite game, but not to mention, it has all my Pokemon in it because I feel it's a very, very safe game. You'll see I have 220 hours put into this game alone. I only have 594 Pokemon, but hey, I'm working towards it. I've never completed the National Dex before, and I've been working on it for years now, and I'm very, very excited to do so. So you can imagine my disappointment when I saw that, the National Dex was kind of disappearing when I'd been working on this for years. I suppose it's my own fault I've taken this long. So we'll go ahead and go into Lynette's PC. We're going to organize my boxes because this is the only mode that should really exist on the PC. Just a personal opinion there. So, here we are. These are my boxes of teams. And all my teams are separated into 6 Pokemon. And these 6 Pokemon are the Pokemon that I beat a game with, or I ran one Pokemon game with. Now, all these teams you'll see have come from all of these games, excluding a select few. So, Let's Go Pikachu has, as far as I'm aware, no real trading ability just yet. It can kind of trade with Pokemon Go, but that's about it. So, other than that, my Pokemon have come from Ruby. So Pokemon Ruby, a copy of Leaf Green, but my twin brother is kind of making a playthrough it right now, and he has it, so I didn't have it for this video, but that's okay. So, Pokemon Ruby, Pokemon Leaf Green, which is a remake of the original generations, Pearl, Heart Gold, White, White 2, X, Omega Ruby, and this will not include Sun or Ultra Sun, because I didn't move any of my Pokemon forward yet. That being said, you'll see no shortage of effort put into these teams. So, my very first team. This is the team that was my very first team I ever trained in Pokemon Ruby back in 2003 when this game released. I think that's the right year. I'm pretty sure it was 2003. Anyway, so these Pokemon, they're not particularly impressive. They probably weren't done in the right way or anything like that, or their attacks are probably really wonky. You'll see some gaps here. This means that there was an HM there, and I wanted to trade it out, so I had to delete the HM due to old limitations. So I got a bunch of Pokemon here. They're all different. They're all unique, but they all tell the story of that game that I ran through. This is my Blaziken. I trained it to level 100. I put a lot of effort into this thing. It's not fantastic. I think overall its stats turned out okay. It's not perfect or anything, but again, it was my first run. Celio here. He's got a particular name. You might see that his name is sealed. And this is because with the original hardware, I thought the O on his name was a D. So I thought he was sealed. So I was like, hey guys, like check out my sealed. And they're like, you mean Celio? It's like, oh. So I changed his name to sealed anyway. I was like, you know what, I've been calling him that, so I'm going to change his name. Mine in here. This is really interesting. So mine in here is an award-winning, cool competition winner. And this was kind of added. It was kind of like a side competitive thing that they kind of added with Generation 3. And this was the Pokemon on my team that I decided would go through this. And one of the awesome things, and again, this Pokemon is from this game right here, from Pokemon Ruby. So it's got a lot of history on it. Okay, so let's see. Champion ribbon, yeah. Effort ribbon, artist ribbon. I don't even know what some of these are, to be honest. Legend, I don't know what that is. But okay, so they have contest memory ribbon, and clearly some data has been lost a little bit, but a lot of the data was retained. So it has its contest winner thing, or contest medal winning ribbon back from this game. Let's see, and then if you go back, you'll see his stats are maxed out on cool, and that's what this Pokemon was. He was my competitive competition runner for those little fun side things. Anyway, that's just Team 1. Again, this was years ago, and I spent hundreds of hours on each of these Pokemon games. So moving on to the next one, Leaf Green. This is a Leaf Green team. Okay, let's see this. So I have this Wartortle on my team. And the reason this Wartortle is on my team is because I was so tired of training Blastoise. I knew I liked Wartortle better than Blastoise. So I said, you know what, forget it. I'm just gonna train one. So I trained a Wartortle. And he's, again, not perfect. You know, this is a long time ago, and a lot of the attacks and stuff were for show that I picked. Okay, this team right here, this is fascinating, okay? This team right here is for Pokemon Battle Revolution for the Nintendo Wii. I wanted to make a Dark Ghost team, and I succeeded. This team was really, really good. It was able to defeat just about everything in the game. I pretty much ran that game with this Ghost Dark team. It was really overpowered. I love this team. It's super fun. Again, there's probably special ways you can get around this team easily, but it was a fun theme team, and I trained these Pokemon. This team right here, this is from my second run of Pearl. I unfortunately lost one Pokemon, and I'm starting to wonder if it was just an HM Pokemon that had a bunch of HMs on it. But I was unable to find any Pokemon matching its ID other than the Skorupi here, or whatever his name is. How do you say it? Skorupi? I think I said it right. So this Skorupi is the only other Pokemon that I have in all my history Pokemon with that ID. So I could not find the remaining Pokemon. And again, I think it was just HMs. So that was unfortunate. I'm pretty sure I didn't finish this one. Gen 4 was kind of a weak point for me. And it had mostly to do with, I think, the hardware lagging and that kind of thing. The game it ran a little slow, which you'll also see with Sun and Moon, or Ultra Sun and Sun, that I have anyway. So, okay, this next team right here, okay? This team right here, this was a specially designed team to run duos in Pokemon Emerald's battle tower thing, what was it called? I don't remember what it's called. The Battle Frontier. That's what it was. So this team, it was specially designed to run in duo pairs, and it was, again, it's not great. It's terrible, but that was fun. That was just something I did, and I had an absolute blast with the team. But it's just one more of those things that I did, and remember, this game alone that I'm running right here has 220 hours on it. I know that most of these games I probably ran up at least 100 hours doing. So this is just box number 1. Okay, so this team right here, this is a team I trained in Heart Gold, and its theme was a water team. And I said, can I beat this game with just a water team? So I went through all the Pokemon that I could think of, trying to find Pokemon that would fit this team and would give me kind of a good type spread to kind of resist its, the traditional weaknesses that, a solid water team would have. I did okay. For the most part, the team was fantastic. Look at this thing. Like what? Mudsport, Dig, and again, I had lots of water, so I didn't need it. But the team's design was simply to see if I could do it, and that was just like so much fun. What an interesting run that one was. Doing a water team. This is my second playthrough of Leaf Green. So we have Dodrio here. Cool Rhydon. And again, these Pokemon are limited to the ones in that generation. I didn't really trade anything in for that one. But this was a really cool team. I had never trained. Like, with each of these teams, you'll notice they're very different. Most of the Pokemon are not the same. Because they're Pokemon that I have not trained yet. So, it was just, it's interesting to see, being able to train all these different Pokemon. Okay, so this is from a second playthrough. I think this was on a Sapphire copy. I think this is my brother's Sapphire copy. But, just, different Pokemon. And I've never trained a Sceptile. I was a huge fan of Blaziken. I was like, I don't care about Sceptile. But eventually, as I got older and I started replaying these games, I was like, well, I want to train something new, like a Galele. Like, what a cool Pokemon. Just really fascinating. I absolutely loved replaying through these games. Okay, this team right here, this is my Pokemon. This is the remake of Heart Gold and Soul Silver. I'm sorry. So this is Heart Gold's team. And this particular run, I actually said, you know what? Forget it. I don't want to run a starter because, to be honest, I was a big fan of Feraligatr. I played a lot of Feraligatr already. So I said, you know what? I'm going to trade in. And let me check if this ID is different. No, it's the same one. So, I don't remember how I got it. I got it early in the game somehow. I got a Kangaskhan. I don't know if it was trading from well, no, the ID's right. I don't remember how it happened. But somehow I got a Kangaskhan really early on. And I said, you know what? Kangaskhan, you're going to be my starter. And that's what this team was. It was kind of different. And I could have evolved Magneton into a Magnezone. I didn't want to. And I could have evolved Magmar into Magmortar. But I just didn't want to. And training a Victory Bell. What a fun Pokemon. And I really, really enjoyed, I love making teams. This team right here, okay, you'll notice all the IDs are they're a little different on some of these. Okay, so it's an Umbreon, a Flygon. I'll give you a second to see if you can guess. Pulsol, there's your hint. Feraligatr, and a Tropius. So, if you haven't guessed it yet, this team is from Pokemon Coliseum. So if you played through the game, you've probably seen all of these Pokemon in there at one point or another. But these Pokemon were from Pokemon Coliseum, so a few of them are kind of like retrained, but that's because there was very, very limited Pokemon in that team or in that game. Oops, continue. But that team right there, that's its own journey, and it's like every one of these teams, they all have their own journey. This right here, this is my first playthrough of Pokemon Black. I absolutely loved Black and White. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say black? I meant white. I am white. My brother has Pokemon Black. But this was my first playthrough of this game, and I loved that it was 100% new. I thought that was so fascinating, being able to play through them and play with just brand new Pokemon, experiencing new things. So one of my general rules is I don't trade in any Pokemon. I play the first generation. I play it through with the Pokemon available in the game. And I absolutely adore these Pokemon. These are some of my favorite Pokemon that I've ever trained. Pokemon White was really the first game where I started really, really thinking about the attacks I was picking on my Pokemon. And they started to get competitive. For example, my Mayanchao. Fantastic Pokemon. I call him my revenge Pokemon. He's acrobatic, or acrobatics, fantastic, powerful attack. He's got Regenerator when he switches. He's got U-turn. He's got Retaliate when he comes back in to knock somebody out. Drain Punch to make sure he's still staying alive. This is honestly when I first really started thinking about competitive Pokemon. It was kind of there in my my Heart Gold playthrough, but it was just getting started, and I really was figuring it out when I played through this. This is my Pokemon Pokemon White 2 team. Very, very different Pokemon. Again, I wanted to train something unique. I wanted to try some of these unique Pokemon, like Durant. Durant is a Bug Steel, that's kind of cool, like a Caesar, but he doesn't evolve. So, he's a little bit different. Darmanitan, really, really cool. This is the sheer force one. This is not the change form. Kling Clang. I was like, okay, why not? Let's just see. He's a steel type, yet he learns some electrical attacks. What's his special attack? It's trash. So yeah, okay, I didn't think about this one. Oh, Seismotone, fantastic. Poison Touch. I mean, he's just phenomenally fun. And a Golurk. Way too many weaknesses. A ghost ground type, but he's got so many weaknesses. It's whatever. I had a lot of fun. This was a fun team, but it had a lot of problems. It was easy to take out. All right, let's see. This team. This was not my first run through Pokemon X. I believe this was my second run. I think my Pokemon are slightly out of order here. I'll have to change these teams around. So this is my second run through Pokemon X. Tropius, Arcanine, Aggron, and this is he's got the Aggronite or whatever, so he can like Mega Evolve, and I chose my own starter. I said, you know what, I haven't trained on Venusaur, so I'm going to train a Venusaur. Hippowdon, I absolutely love. Walrein. I know I trained like a Seal, or a Celio in my first Ruby game, but I never trained a Walrein. So I said, okay, let's do a Walrein. Super, super fun team. This Pokemon team right here, and again, like I said, when I play a new generation, I always pick the Pokemon from the game, only Pokemon available in the game without trading. So I got a Flareon, fantastic. Pidgeotto, Chestnut, oh man, he is just phenomenal. Flygon, Avalugg, like what a weird Pokemon, but I love him. And then a Blastoise. I remember they gave you 2 starters in that game, so I was like, okay, you know what? It's been a while since I've trained a Blastoise. Let's train that Blastoise. Because I kind of put him on hold since like the original generations. This Pokemon, man, this team, this was hard to find. I actually lost like 2 of the Pokemon, and I've been trying to reassemble these teams because I wanted to make this video so you guys can see the extent of how much time and effort goes into like making these teams, playing through an entire game with them. This is a rare colored Noctowl. I got it very early in Pokemon Soul Silver. I'm sorry, oh my goodness, Heart Gold, and I didn't trade it. And then I took that rare colored Pokemon later, and I said, you know what? I'm going to put him in a team, and I'm going to train this rare colored Pokemon. Usually I just set my rare colored Pokemon aside, because I don't know if I want to evolve him or something like that. And I was like, you know what? I want to put him on a team, and I'm going to see how he does. And I did. Very fun. Oh, and we got that very exciting new evolution for Lanoon. I mean, that's really exciting. Obviously, it won't work with this Lanoon. He's a Hoenn Lanoon, but it'll be interesting. Maybe I'll train one. I really like Lanoon. He's kind of cool. Mamoswine, what a cool Pokemon. Man, he's phenomenal. This is actually one of my competitive Pokemon. He does fantastic online. I think he has a lot of weaknesses, though. I gotta think about that. Toxicroak, pretty fun. Umbreon, a competitive Umbreon, and a competitive Gyarados. This team had a lot of my competitive Pokemon on it. But we're not done. We're almost done, though. Okay, let's see. This is my first... Now, I have played a lot of Pokemon Ruby. I've played a lot of Pokemon Ruby. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to train a starter. I don't feel like doing a Swampert. It's the only one I haven't done yet. I just didn't feel like it. So I picked my own starter. So I got this amazing Sharpedo. He's fantastic. Torterra. There you go. That's what I did. I got a Turtwig from Pearl. And I was like, you know what? I've never done a Turtwig. That would be really cool because I didn't really do Pearl. I didn't play Pearl too much. So I wanted to do a Turtwig and I did it. And he's fantastic. I absolutely love him. Solrock. I love this Pokemon. So much fun. Skarmory, Staraptor, and a Gallade. Competitive Gallade. This is my competitive Gallade. Fantastic team. I absolutely love it. And then this is a third playthrough of Pokemon X. I've been getting a little bit tired of replaying through X. I really want to replay through Omega Ruby, but it's holding all these Pokemon. And I'm considering maybe putting them into the Pokemon Bank to keep them safe. And then again, I have like all these TMs and all these items, and I said, forget it. I'm just going to buy a new copy of, or an additional copy of Alpha Sapphire. I've never played that one, so, it's roughly the same game, but at least I'll have an alternative copy. Manectric, Gastrodon. Like these are Relicanth. Oh man, what a cool Pokemon that like nobody really trains, and I wanted to train one. Ludicolo. Yeah, I did a Ludicolo, and then we have a Dragonite. I think it's my second Dragonite, but this is when I was like kind of starting to figure them out. This poor team right here. This is my Pokemon Pearl team. My very first playthrough of Pearl. Send time. I don't know where I came up with that. I think I just wanted to do some nicknames in that game, which I don't really do nicknames. But this is my original Pearl team, and it's kind of sitting off to the side because half of the team has been lost. I don't know where they are, and I've searched through all my IDs, and I don't know if they were traded in, but I doubt it because it was a first playthrough. But most of the team is gone, and I don't know what happened. But this Pokemon right here, my, what is he, a Cricketune? Yeah, that's his actual name. Cricketune. He actually ran basically the entire game of Pearl for me. He beat the Steel Fire Gym. That was not easy, but man, that was really, really cool. So, Graveler here in a Prinplup because I didn't really care about Empoleon that much. But that's it. That's where Pearl goes. And that's it. I counted up my teams. I have 18 teams that I've done, very specific playthroughs, each of them with at least 100 hours on them. So, just to give you a sheer idea, I'm sure you figured it out at this point, but there's so much effort was put forth into these Pokemon, and I just wanted to draw some attention to the idea that, a lot of people, they're not happy with the removal of the National Dex. And I know that's pretty obvious with the hashtag, but just to give people an idea of why some people are a bit upset about the removal of the National Dex. And it's because Pokemon history is there. We put a lot of time into our history, and we adore the Pokemon that we've made, or, we've trained for so long. And it's kind of just to raise awareness why people are so concerned and why people are so upset about this. So yeah, and I mean, there's nothing wrong. I mean, I understand, they're limited on time and they need to hit deadlines and that kind of thing. But I just hope that they consider that when they make the next game, whatever, the next Sword and Shield is, whatever the next generation after, or whatever it is. But just to bring all those Pokemon in, make sure that it can all move forward, because that means so much to so many. And right now my Pokemon are trapped in Pokemon Omega Ruby. And I can't really do much. They're just stuck there. If I want to play competitively, I play Omega Ruby. So yeah, anyway, I hope you guys enjoy the video. I hope you guys enjoy this little short tour of Pokemon history through kind of my actual journeys through Pokemon themselves. So yeah, thank you guys so much for listening, and I hope Pokemon reconsiders when they do National Dex, at least for the next game.